university is a big step, and without the right information, it can seem pretty scary. My name's Kirstyn, a business student at Ulster University. In this series, I investigate some of the biggest questions students have when researching their university options. Join me as I explore everything from perfecting your UCAS application, surviving the transition from school, and getting your head around student finance. When I was at school, getting the UCAS application right was really important. But is there such a thing as the perfect UCAS application? And if so, what does it even look like? I want to find out if universities really care how your personal statement is written and if your combination of course choices matter. To get this information, I'm meeting with Ulster University's Head of Admissions and Student Recruitment team. To get to university, you must submit an application via UCAS. Whilst that sounds easy, it's a process that requires time, research and energy. According to UCAS, over 500,000 people apply to university in the UK every year. With over 50,000 courses to choose from, there is a lot of choice but even more competition. So how exactly do universities decide who receives an offer and who doesn't? I'm going to meet Ulster's Head of Admissions, Ronan Cullen, who oversees more than 30,000 applications to Ulster every year. So hi Ronan, thank you so much for joining us today. I guess my first question for you as Head of Admissions is there such thing as the perfect UCAS application?
No, I don't think there is. That's a very individual assessment that you would make on someone's application based on where that individual wants to go. From my point of view, whenever I look at an application, I want to see someone that's researched the choices that they've made and that they can meet those entry requirements. And being able to meet those entry requirements means they keep that maximum 5 choices throughout the initial stages of their application. Once they have their 5 choices, then I like to see somebody that has made a good firm and insurance choice, so they've structured it in a way that they have a firm choice that's higher entry requirements with an insurance choice then as a backup that will be lower. And that gives them then a good balance whenever they get to August to hopefully get a place at university.
So from a university's perspective, there's no such thing as the perfect UCAS application?
No, that's definitely a very individual thing, and wherever that person wants to take their career in future, that'll allow them to make that individual assessment themselves.
So I guess in your position, you're probably very aware of the stress and pressure on students to get their application right. So what advice or top tips would you have to anybody starting their UCAS application?
I think it's really important to plan the timelines of the application and to research your choices. So in terms of planning, UCAS opens quite early, probably a lot earlier than people expect. It's back as far as May. Those applications don't make their way to the university until early September, but there's a whole period of time to research those choices, to start the application, right up to the various deadlines. The first one is 15th of October, and that's for medicine and related programmes, right up to the 15th of January then for the majority of the other programmes.
So with thousands of courses to choose from on UCAS, does it really matter what combination of courses a student chooses?
No, absolutely not. We deal with applications in isolation, so as long as anybody is able to meet the published entry criteria, they'll receive an offer for that programme and within the deadlines that are specified as well. The one thing to note with putting in a variation of programmes is it makes your personal statement a bit more difficult to write. So if a personal statement's used for selection at the early stages of the application, it's difficult to focus on a programme if you've got a wide variation. So maybe you want to focus on something else, maybe focus on the institution if you're applying just to one university, or talk about a subject area more broadly.
So I guess from an admissions team's perspective, what tips or what advice would you have on someone that's trying to get their head wrapped around their personal statement?
Personal statements, it's important for the applicant to let us know who they are and what they want to do. In terms of us using it, some programmes use it a lot more than others, and we use it at different stages of the cycle. So for example, at the earlier stages we might use it if we've got high demand for courses and we don't have enough offers, or we can't make as many offers as we'd like. Later in the cycle, after we've got the results, if we have a limited number of places left and we've got a greater number of people that have very similar grade profiles and we can't differentiate, then we'll use the personal statement on occasion at that stage. to decide on who gets the place.
So for somebody that maybe things haven't gone to plan for, what avenues do Ulster have for their students?
There's probably more options now than there's ever been. So we have a whole range of part-time options if somebody doesn't get the grades to go into the full-time programme. And very often you can progress from part-time into full-time as you move through the course. We also have great collaboration with the regional colleges in the further education sector. And we have a whole range of foundation degrees where applicants can go and do a foundation degree and then progress on to Ulster and do kind of 2 years in the college and then 2 years in the university and still come out with their degree at the end of it.
And I think that's important as well for somebody that it does happen, you know, it doesn't work out for everybody. So knowing that there are other options and other avenues a student can go down if things don't go to plan, I think is extremely important. So that's all my questions I have for you today. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope we've provided a bit of reassurance or help to someone starting their UCAS application.
Thanks, Kirstyn.
So I guess my main takeaway from my conversation with Ronan was the amount of pathways and avenues there are available for students. Not only have you your full-time undergraduate degrees, but you also have the part-time route and the foundation degrees through local further education colleges. So there really is nothing to worry about. Next up, I'm meeting with Ulster's Student Recruitment Officer Jonathan Holland, who helps promote the university to sixth formers and regularly represents Ulster University at UCAS events. Hi Johnny, how are you? Thanks for meeting us today. So to get stuck straight in then, the process of deciding what to do after school and considering higher education as a pathway after school can be quite stressful for a lot of students. So what advice would you give to them that find themselves in that position?
Well, I suppose the most important thing is that they're not alone. They're not the only ones who have gone through this process before, and there are plenty of other within their year group who are doing it as well. So they've got a whole support network, and not just within the school and their pupils, but also their teachers, the careers teachers, heads of sixth form, those within college as well, plus also family and friends there to support them through the whole process.
And I guess we can't touch on the UCAS application without touching on the personal statement, and for some that's what they would maybe describe as the dreaded personal statement. So what advice would you give to students that are starting their UCAS application and starting the personal statement specifically? And what advice or tips would you have on structuring that and laying that out?
Well, the personal statement is important. It can be more important for some courses more than others, but you can't take that chance. You could be applying for a course that doesn't really rely on the personal statement, but the other four could do. But the personal statement itself is a very simple 47-line statement. It's probably about an A4 page worth of text. It's completely word processed. Obviously it has to be copy and pasted in the UCAS system itself, but it's not unlike any other story. We are trying to convince somebody why you've made those 5 choices and why you should be considered the most successful candidate to get on that course. And within that, of course, you have to sell yourself. It's got to have conviction, but it also needs to reflect on other things. For example, extracurricular activity that you're involved in, whether it be sport, it could be music, it could be your part-time work, and draw from those experiences and evidence in some of the competencies and skills that you have as well.
So you touched on the personal statement being one kind of A4 page, and for someone that's in a position where they're unsure of what they want to do and they've maybe chose 5 completely different courses, what tips would you have in structuring that, providing a well-balanced, well-structured statement?
Yeah, well, 5, I suppose, not diametrically opposed choices is going to be very challenging to put down a focused statement. And that's why within schools and colleges, our colleagues would be encouraging applicants to start to focus in on subject areas, for example, business or health sciences or in social sciences. And that then helps you create a more succinct personal statement because they're very much linked. If it isn't that way, you could be jumping all over the place. Say you're interested in studying sport, and then maybe optometry and maybe engineering or business. You can imagine your personal statement will be jumping all over the place and won't be as structured and as succinct as you'd want it to be to give yourself the best possible chance to be made an offer onto the course.
To conclude then, is there such thing as the perfect UCAS application?
No, I suppose there's not, but there's many ways to do the wrong one. I mean, there are very, very creative applicants out there who have little poems in their personal statement or little jokes or quotes from very famous people, and they're perfectly entitled to do that. But that is also laden with pitfalls. You can have a well-structured personal statement. I suppose it would be a model statement that you can go with, and there are plenty of examples online.
So I guess the main thing we've taken from today is providing an honest reflection and personal statement and tailoring that to you specifically as an individual. So I guess that's all I have. That's all my questions answered. Hopefully that's helped somebody and provided a little bit of reassurance to students and applicants. So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
So I guess my conversation with Johnny brought back a lot of memories and brought back my own experiences whenever I was at school and whenever I was applying to university. To be honest, I kind of forgot the amount of research and the amount of energy it takes and the thought that needs to go into your application to university. I've learned a lot about what makes the perfect UCAS application. As it turns out, it doesn't exist. Individuality, honesty, and determination are what can make your application as perfect as it can be. There are so many resources available to help you get your head around UCAS. If you're in school or college, your careers and guidance department can assist you in submitting an application. If you're a mature student, you can contact the Careers Advice Service on the Northern Ireland Direct website. Or, if you have a question for us, email us at study@ulster.ac.uk.